Hey guys, Joe here, and what you're looking at is my desktop screen. This is my ASUS G11. I went over it very briefly when I first got the system, and as you recall, it was a Craigslist find. There are several outlets that actually still sell this actual computer, and it ranges anywhere from $9.99 for an i5 equipped one to $12.95 or $14.95 with an i7 and a small SSD already installed. However, this one I got for $400 off of a Craigslist crackhead who needed to sell it really quickly. And as you recall from that video, I had a problem with it. As you recall, the problem I had with it was for some reason it just decided to stop working. It's a pretty easy explanation for a complicated problem. I didn't even realize until after I had done my recovery and everything that it had deleted some of its actual drivers, such as the NVIDIA drivers for the graphics card and a couple of other drivers that I wound up actually having to go and get and install because for some reason they were gone, just gone. And since this is a pre-built system, it was all installed on the hard drive in here. Now, I don't know if I still have the video on my cell phone. If I do, I'll upload it and I will put it in right about here. I don't know how well you can see this. That hard drive is screwed. So yeah, it's a good thing I'm putting in the SSD, and then I'm going to remove that hard drive and probably swap it with a different one or see what will happen after I reformat it. But yeah, for a hard drive to have a write speed of 66K, oh, 8K, yeah, so can't even get the freaking drive cloned over yet because the hard drive is so bad in here. And as you can clearly see, the hard drive was really screwed up for some reason. Those numbers were what were being displayed while I was trying to clone the hard drive to the SSD I installed. And that's the point of this video. I want to show you the SSD I used. I want to show you some of the hardships and hassles I had to go through when installing it in this computer because, as I keep saying, this is a pre-built ASUS computer. ASUS put this computer together, shipped it out to whatever store this crackhead bought it from, and then that crackhead sold it to me. So let's just get into this. This is the hard drive I added. This is just a PNY 120 gigabyte SSD. I just needed a boot drive for the computer, and then I could reformat the hard drive and use that for storage. This one was on sale at Best Buy. It was actually $10 cheaper than the exact same model on Newegg, which I did not expect. I was checking Newegg because I figured if it was cheaper, I'd get Best Buy to match it. But it was $52.99 at Best Buy. It was $62.99 on Newegg, so I went ahead and picked it up. I went with the PNY because it also came with Arconis data migration tools, which is supposed to allow you to easily clone your hard drive to the new SSD. It doesn't actually come on like a flash drive or an SD card or anything like that. What you have to do is you install the SSD and then you download the drivers. They give you a product key when you buy it. It's inside on the manual, and then you download the Arconis software for doing the migration, and then supposedly it does it automatically. Well, as you saw from the footage of the hard drive speed, it was running at like 4K a second. Not 4 megs, not 4 gigs, 4K, kilobytes. That's the kind of speed you expect from if you were using a carrier pigeon, okay? I was very disappointed in this software. It bogged down my system so bad that it kept crashing my computer. It wouldn't run correctly. Now, I also attribute some of those issues to the hard drive problems as well as probably when the GPU drivers were erased. The cloning process to move 80 gigabytes off the hard drive to the SSD took 3.5 hours, which shouldn't have happened. After it was done, I tried to restart the system, and for some reason I was having a really bad glitch where it would not run the display correctly. I would get the blue startup screen, you know, before it loads a picture, and it had the time in the bottom, but it was flashing continuously. Doing some research online, people were saying that when they use this software, for some reason, it wouldn't migrate the video driver. So it was a GPU issue. So I went into the BIOS, disabled the SSD, loaded back on from the hard drive because I didn't format it until after I'd made sure everything had been migrated that I was going to keep. And I went online. What I wound up using was a software called Reflect by Mericum. I can't even pronounce it. But just Google Reflect migration software or Reflect cloning software. And that was a lot easier to use. It was free to download. It allowed me to delete a couple of partitions that were automatically put on when I used the Arconis software. And I was able to clone the hard drive in about an hour. Again, it probably should have went faster, but the hard drive was being a dick. After I was done, I confirmed that the clone was complete, and the Reflex software actually rewrote my drive so the SSD automatically became C and my hard drive became E, which was really cool. I'm glad that worked out so well. Unfortunately, I wish ASUS had done the same kind of effort on their cable management. Linus Tech Tips did a video about cable management and how it really doesn't affect the cooling of the computers. I didn't realize that ASUS took that wholeheartedly and just decided to shotgun the wiring into this computer. So let me show you what the insides of this computer look like. This is not anything that I did. I will admit that I had to cut two of the zip ties that were in here in order to free up a cable to run to the SSD, which I have mounted down here. But all the cable management that you see in here is how ASUS sent this system out. It was really, really freaking horrible to try to work in here. And let me get a flashlight on this so that I can point out a few other things. I don't know how well you can see it, but this cable, this is the SATA cable running to the SSD. Do you see the first problem? This is my NVIDIA GTX 960 card. Yes, it's just a 960. I want to upgrade to a 1070 or a 1080 eventually. I don't even know if this board will support that. But this cable runs behind the card, along with a couple of other SATA cables for the other pieces that are in here. So to get to that port, I actually had to remove the video card, which is a pain in the ass because you also have the 3.0 header cable, which is quite flimsy in this setup, and it's annoyingly in the way of the video card. So yes, after playing real-life Tetris for about 20 minutes, I was able to get the card out, install the cable, and then reinstall the card. Obviously, it's working because it's on. A couple other quirks about this system that I wasn't aware of when I first started monkeying with it. Number one, this is a 6700 HQ, so it's not overclockable, which is a pain in the ass, but I'll live with that. But one of the quirks that I didn't realize is that the RAM on this system is one 16 gig UDIMM stick, so it's running in single channel. I did not expect that on this computer. I figured since it was a budget computer, it would be using two 8 gig sticks. Yes, I can upgrade it by throwing in another 16 gig stick, but it's kind of weird and annoying. Here's what I think I'm going to wind up doing, quite frankly, 100% honestly, is I'll probably wind up getting a better board and reusing the i7 that's on there and a lot of the components. However, I'm going to change the case up. I'm probably going to go with some kind of tempered glass, really nice looking case, more fans, things like that. Yeah. So anyway, cable management. What the frick, dudes? Come on now. But yeah, I was able to install the SSD using a $9 3.5 to 2.5 bay adapter, and then a SATA cable from another computer I had laying around. Was that the best thing to do? Maybe, maybe not, but it works. So yeah, it's installed, it works, and I'm not too terribly annoyed. Get out my face! I will say that one area where I was actually surprised was when I ran Cinebench on the system, and let me do that for you right now so you can see where she ended up. So yeah, I was bored and I downloaded Cinebench. It's free to download Cinebench, so I figured I might as well. As you can see, that was actually the number it ran, but here, let's run the OpenGL. I will say it actually did much better than I expected on OpenGL, especially considering it's just a 960 video card. So as you can see, my scores I actually ran it before and it did slightly better at 118.98 versus 115.96. That could also be explainable due to the fact that I am currently using this and I have Adobe Premiere open, I have the voice recorder open, and I have a file thingy open. So I'm going to close these out, everything except for the voice recorder since I'm using it to record the audio. And let's run the CPU Cinebench. I expect it's probably going to be slightly lower. So as you can see, it did go down a little bit because I had programs open and probably using some of the processor power. But again, it's an i7-6700. It's the HQ. It's a 4-core, 8-thread running at 3.41 gigahertz and 64-bit Cinebench. GeForce GTX 960. My original result was an 810. This time when I ran it, it was only a 795. I'm pretty sure that if I turned everything else off like I did when I was running the test originally, it would come back up to over 800. I don't think that's too bad when you consider here's the other processors that beat me. You can see they're all i7s except for the Xeon, duh, but they're also Ks, which are overclockable processors, and even the 4770K was only slightly better than my locked into 3.4 gigahertz processor, and that one was running at 4.4 gigahertz. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the state of the system as it sits right now. What other future upgrades do I have planned for her? Again, I want to change the case. Right now, Captain ASUS is fine, but I would like to do a better case. In all actuality, and honestly, I'd rather put a different motherboard in here because this motherboard is, only has 2 slots for RAM and only has 1 slot available for the video card. And if I'm going to upgrade, I'd like to have the ability to run 2 video cards as well as possibly run a lot more RAM, because right now with 2 slots, I'd have to spend a lot of money on high capacity RAM. You know, right now I'd have to buy another 16 gig stick if I want to match it, and then if I decide I want to go up to 64, I got to get rid of those and get 2 32 gig sticks. So that's not worth it. The motherboard would be the cheaper way to go. I kind of want to run 2 980s and run them in SLI, I think. I think that's what I'm going to do, because 2 980s can keep up with the 1080 fairly well. And I think that's the way I'll wind up going, because that'll be cheaper. I'll sell my 960, get a little bit of money back for it, and then upgrade eventually. As of right now, I don't care. I don't need it for anything. Benchmarking it with some of the games I did, I was getting 68, 70 frames per second on like Grand Theft Auto 5, so I'm fine with it. So this was just a little update. Just wanted to show that I did put the SSD in there and that it is running a hell of a lot faster. It used to take almost 5 minutes to boot up. Now it's just, you know, SSD speeds. So there you go. Yes, I should have went with like a Samsung 850 EVO, but this was cheaper, and I just wanted it for a boot drive to help the system run better. So if you have any comments, leave them down below. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to go ahead and click on my face to subscribe. And then if you want to see other videos, including when the computer went down, and I did cuss a little bit too much in that video, and I apologize, but you can see it by clicking here and then click here for some random tech video. So yeah, that's it, and I'll talk to you later.